The heroes, in the midst of a venerable blood and void bath, were introduced to the Erdofan chief of war, Kurfel, and his personal war band. He spoke to them of blood visions and the anticipation of their arrival, seeming to believe that fate had brought them together for some final battle. He challenged them to see this fate through, so that he may after join Belcora to raise the surface world. But Raphael sought to personally face this challenge head on. However, Kurfel quickly proved his worthiness as war chief when he quickly felled Raphael in one-on-one combat. Unwilling to take any further unnecessary risks, Lump intervened and began a surprise assault on the Erdofan surrounding them. But the creatures had the upper hand after the initial assault upon the heroes, and Raphael was lost to the remaining horde as Lump blocked the way for the retreat. And the heroes stood next to where they had lost another friend and hero, unsure of what Ruff's fate was. Utterly convinced he would not survive, they returned to me in my library to report their continued tale, with sunken hearts, disquieted minds, and raging resolve.
So we've all had moments in our lives when we've had moments in our lives, several moments, in fact.
These are the moments of our lives.
These are, in fact, the moments of our lives. Just like the sands of the hourglass, so are these the moments of our eyes. Of our eyes? Oh, I said, okay.
Dude, you butchered that. Butchered.
We just want to start this again from the top.
Of course I don't.
That's where we're going to call it.
Thanks,
ridiculous.
listeners. See you next week.
We've all had moments in our lives when we're feeling a bit overwhelmed by any particular emotion, or maybe even in some cases a bit numb, and maybe, dare I say it, a bit edgelordy. And I always think about these moments. I think of in these moments about music and what song is like really playing into the vibe that I am when I'm feeling like really not isolated per se, but like really in my own head in a particular moment and set of feelings. I was just a kind of, this has popped into my head because I had a bit of a crazy weekend and I had a moment of that not long ago. And since we ended the previous episode with everyone kind of separated, having some alone time to deal with the most recent events and most recent traumas, I'm curious, not just what you have been doing, as we all know Harold just destroyed the bookbinding room, but I'm curious what you would choose for your character's current moment. What song what track would you lay down for how they are feeling and where they are in this moment of solitude? Let's start with let's start with Harold. What song was playing when he busted the whole room up? Was it Breaking Stuff by Limp Bizkit?
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah. Or maybe Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah.
that's a good one.
Or
See, I would imagine that one was playing when you were actually fighting all of the Erdophon.
what about Eyeless by Slipknot? Hot track.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
call.
good.
Yeah, that's
That's
when I used to kickbox, that was my banger. So that
And by kickbox, Scott used to have a hobby of just kicking boxes around.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Watch out, corrugated cardboard.
He's at home in an Amazon warehouse. Let me tell you.
Just running amok.
Hey, how did he get in here again? Get him out of here.
Banned
Forget
for
the-
life from Costco.
Forget the game, kick the can. So that's that's while Harrow was breaking stuff. What about this moment afterward when he's got to have a moment of calm and maybe defeat or deflation? What do you think there, Scott?
It's gotta be Somebody's Blues by Jimmy Eat World.
Okay.
And if you ever heard this song, you know what I mean. And if you haven't heard the song, fucking listen to it. It is so tight.
I love me some. I don't know that one off the top of my head, but I love me some Jimmy Eat World. I probably have heard it, but I dig those guys.
But yeah, just listeners, check that song out. It's moody as fuck. One day I want to make, I'm going to go on a side tangent here. I have an idea in my mind that I've always wanted to like turn into something, whether it's like a graphic novel or like something that could be like an animated short, but like the whole thing was basically based while listening to this song because it's just so fucking like moody and like gritty.
Moody and gritty. Angsty?
Yeah.
Would you say it's angsty?
Oh, big time. So anyways, listen to that, yo.
Hell yeah. What about Lump? I know Lump went off into what's known as the Author's Hall, which was very much stained with blood, but has since had the ghoul bodies removed. I don't quite remember what you had in mind for Lump, Kim, in that room, but will you want to regale us with your thoughts?
Lump is definitely the realization of like the situation they're now in from their contract is looming over them, and for the song that I would pick would be Bloodsucker Part 2 by As Cities Burn for more upbeat and lighthearted beat tub thumping for sure.
That's good. They get knocked
And
down.
as for like Get Up Again,
but they usually they're the ones doing the knocking down, so it makes sense
Yep,
that you get up again.
that's true.
Yeah.
and its term for like a song for myself would be like the difference between medicine and poison is in the dosage by Circa Survive. I just keep naming obscure things and I feel like a douchebag now.
It's okay. That's what we know you for anyway.
Yep, that's true.
Honestly, that song title is something that you'd see on I'm 14 and This Is Deep.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like,
for real.
there's also just like the post-hardcore. There's a lot of titles that are just meant to be long and kind of obtuse. And some of them were very silly and some of them were edgy. I love post-hardcore. It's probably my favorite genre.
Reminds me of one of my favorite bands, which are usually just known as Trail of Dead, but the full name of the band is "And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead." You're like, no one is saying that.
No.
Nick, I remember semi-forcibly putting Nick into a position of like sitting on the ground with the spear over their shoulder and like a sort of sad pose, arms on knees kind of thing. Do you want to roll with that and give us a song option, or?
Yeah, he was kind of going with like putting himself through the paces of a potential fight. So I imagine he'd probably have The Pot by Tool going. Yeah, pretty
Nice.
good like brooding song that gets to some like kind of bangy, energetic, but it never gets like super high tempo. So I can just imagine him kind of like, getting into it and then standing up and kind of going for a little wander as he's like steeling himself for the coming whatever the fuck's gonna happen.
Hell yeah.
It's like, who are you now?
It's like some downbeat acoustic version. It's real moody.
Yeah, I mean, probably get himself up, like worked up into those kind of like, there's those super energetic moments of those songs.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, it's an 8-fucking-minute song, so
Yeah. So good.
yeah, Yeah, and the jokey song would be Chariots of Fire, obviously.
No.
Amazing. And James, your character is listening to a single track of stark silence?
No. You guys know what RF Snow is?
No.
Is it a band?
Okay.
Like
No,
the-
it's like a sound.
Yeah, that.
So
white
for
noise.
elder millennials, will know this. Back in the day when cable was a thing, if you turn to the channel before cable starts and you get that like static,
Yeah.
that hissing is sometimes called RF snow. That sound and
Okay.
that visual together.
Mm.
But
Ah.
if
James is add a visual to the medium. I love it.
well, it's just that's what I hope death is like. If I'm being honest,
Super annoying.
yeah, I just really hope that it's just like that, and then it's over. You know, like turning the
Turn the
channel.
lights off. Yeah.
The TV just
Um,
blinks.
That would think.
Yeah, if I had to choose a song, it would be this is going to be pretty obscure. I think. I hope not, but I Wish I Had an Angel by Nightwish.
Don't know it.
Uh,
Don't know it.
yeah, they're like a Finnish operatic metal band.
I feel like I've heard of Nightwish. Yeah.
I'm sure I've told you about them. I feel like everybody who's ever heard of Nightwish in North America, I've told about. Like,
Yeah.
the lead singer was like this. She
Just
was a
super
classically
gothy.
trained opera singer,
yeah.
and they Tarja Turunen, and they she joined up with a Finnish black metal band, and they became Nightwish.
Oh,
And it's just some of the most horrific melodic stuff I've ever heard.
Ooh, I'll listen to that.
Like
Amazing.
Lacuna Coil taken to their logic.
I was going to ask you,
What
is it
is
like
that?
Lacuna Coil?
it's like Lacuna Coil, but if,
Oh,
if
man.
the woman was like actually classically trained and
Oh,
like
crazy.
Tarja Turunen
Yeah.
left Nightwish to go back to singing opera.
Oh hell
Cool.
yeah!
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
She's amazing.
That's
but if
really
I had to
cool.
pick a mainstream song, it would be Wagner's Flight of the Valkyries.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Freeman, what do you?
There were big air quotes when James said mainstream, just so the listeners know.
Well, it's no longer 1856.
yeah. Yeah.
And Freeman, what about you? Happy by Pharrell Williams or?
Bring Me to Life by Evanescence.
Crab in the Bucket by Akon.
Oh my god, none of those. She Will Be Loved by Maroon 5. That's oh, so cringy. No, I won't pick a song for you all. I wanted you to have a personal touch on all of that. What I will do is pile on to those moments. Lump, aside from we've rested, okay? This is a full rest. We've gone forward 8 hours, no watch here. You know you're in a reasonably safe space. And Lump, what despite in addition to resting, what have you been up to? And I will start with Lump.
Yes.
Lump, you have been in this room. We've rested. Put the clock forward 8 hours with no watch. You're in a reasonably safe space. What have you been doing in this room as you have rested and had time alone?
I think Lump is kind of replaying the fight in their head and is trying to come to grips with a lot of things. They took a fight they maybe shouldn't have. There's a little bit of deflection towards Harold and Nick for running off to the side for no reason. And Lump will definitely be talking to Harold about that in a bit. And I think that there's also
Cam has already spoken to Scott.
Oh yeah,
Let's
no,
get that out of the way.
I took Scott aside. I flew up to Vancouver just to let Scott know that he was fucking around.
It was a dressing down.
But no, like just to be serious, like Lump is replaying it and on a strategic level is more inclined to believe they made the right call. But the emotional side is realizing that Ruff is dead, and Ruff was one of the first people in the party to like kind of that's still here to accept Lump, and shared sausage rolls and just had tea together. And there's a lot of that weighing on Lump, but just kind of putting it all back together again, just reforming everything, knowing that the consequences of how many people they damaged in those channeled heals, just they have 24 hours, well, 16 hours now to go back down there and destroy them all. And Lump is not sure how to present this to the party because it's not their responsibility to go back down there and pick that fight again. We're also a person down. There's just a lot of things, like Lump is legitimately torn and is wearing it on their fleshy sleeves.
So you've been spending time like ruminating over the most recent events, choices and failures in strategy and tactics, how to press forward, but also, this looming sense of no time. And you have an immediate objective apparently ahead of you as well that delays you even further. And as you are thinking about these things, perhaps one of Lump's greatest fears occurs.
Oh, God.
Because at the same time you hear the voice, you smell the brimstone.
Hello, Bark and Buck.
Hello, Lump. Really toying with your fate today, aren't you?
Well, as they say in Andoran, go big or go home.
I have to thank you, Lump.
Go ahead.
You revealed to me a soul that I would very much like to have. Perhaps even a bit more than yours, no matter how delectable it might be. I would propose you an offer.
Lump sighs. Yes.
You will soon be in my possession for the allotted time in your contract, but I could delay.
What is soon to a devil?
Good point. It's hard to think in your limited mortal time frames. But I've been here a while enough. I've seen too many creatures die arbitrarily so quickly. I feel I have at least a little grasp on it.
Lump will just kind of shrug.
I would, however, temporarily delay your coming to me, if you choose.
What are the conditions?
Another contract, of course. And that you seek out the death of that war chief, so that I may snatch his soul.
Lump will look down for a moment, thinking about their contract that they feel like they're coming to grips with. So, if I understand correctly, you wish to have the soul of the war chieftain down there. And what are the terms of this contract? And I realize you can't give it to me as plainly as I would like. I'm not very smart, but just walk me through the basics, as it were.
And with a flash, this new contract just sort of appears before you. And with a sort of cheeky smile, he presents it. He says, I would give you the sight you need, Lump, to go deep and into the dark. And it would not cost you a whole lot. This contract would suppress any negative side effects of your previous one, whilst it is also in effect. The payment is paltry. You will see in the dark, and you must exist within it. But by all means, read it over. And the obvious reading, mechanically speaking, is the benefit you will gain is basically your eye will be removed. That is part of the cost, and replaced with something else. And it will grant you greater dark vision. And on top of that, it would also suppress any and all doomed conditions created by your right of retribution contract. And the payment through losing your eye, though, is that there is an effect if you were to be whenever you are exposed to bright light, you'll have to attempt to save or come into like an effect that stuns your vision for a bit. It's not as bad as light blindness. I almost gave it light blindness. It's something else inspired by a spell. But it's meant to entice you to operate better in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, Cam loves this. Cam wants this just because it's fucking cool as hell. But also understands that most of their party cannot see in the dark. And so
Yep.
not being able to cast light on themselves is not a big enough trade-off.
Yeah, I want it to be a tough decision.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like,
Lump could.
from...
There are ways around it, but...
Yeah, no. I guess you won't give me any more specifics, but Lump will...
Yeah, you'll have to roll some kind of sort of check to
Society?
understand like the hidden and termination. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have any legalese stuff. Yeah, I think it would be society. I think it's what we rolled before.
Okay, did you want to roll that yourself, or like to see if I discover? I don't know.
No, you go ahead and roll it.
I got a 15, so I don't think Lump sees anything specific.
No, it's just like before, like it's, as much as you might have figured out the other one slowly, it took you a long time to even, start to breach that gap. So bridge that gap. So this one is not any easier, if anything harder to understand.
I appreciate the offer, but I cannot say yes to these stipulations.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah, something like that.
And Barkenbach simply just nods his head and says, "Very well, Lump. I will have my souls regardless, as you have implied. The time it takes, matters not to a devil. But if you change your mind, I will return." And if you bring your head down at all or turn away and back again,
Batman gone.
he's just gone. Yeah, Batman gone. Exactly. What's going through Lump's head?
Lump is definitely like perplexed, confused at their own turning of a new ability away. Shocked a little bit that they didn't take it, but feeling that sense of solidarity and camaraderie with their new companions, comrades, whatever you want to call them, would rather face death and walk backwards into hell than do something that might put them at risk anymore.
Aw.
I was
Except for
thinking
Harold.
about
Fuck
when
Harold.
I this is a custom infernal contract that I made for this particular situation, and as I was making it, I was thinking about how Lump thinks of themselves as a tool, and how the only real freedom that they will see is actually going to hell, doing their service, and then having that service finished, and then they might see some sort of independent freedom. But there's I would imagine there's this sense of like, even if I die here, I still have to be the tool for a specific amount of time. So maybe there's even an element of like, the sooner I do, the sooner I can actually taste the freedom that I'm not even sure I understand.
Yeah, Lump doesn't really have a concept of freedom. That has been gone for a long time. They vaguely remember their past life, but not enough to be meaningful. It's kind of like
And they've foregone their past.
oh yeah,
too,
like
on top of
like
that.
Sally Sell is dead. Like it's kind of like a 16-year-old going into jail for 30 years. Like you may have been free for 16 years, but you were in jail for most of your life. Like, and that's the prison system.
And also you were 16, like you weren't really free. Yeah.
And so, in terms of, Lump would rather be dead than betray or hurt their comrades any more than they already have. that sense of belonging to something is creeping back into their psyche, even if they still see themselves as something that can be disposed of.
I love there is that element of a lack of independence in that too that I can't help but feel, because they're not being pragmatic about I can protect them if I prolong myself. You know, they're not thinking that way. But they are thinking they need to be of use. It's obviously not a perfect mindset, and that's kind of the beauty in it. Nick, as you are wandering around, as you said, you go for a little wander with whatever song, whatever melody of a song stuck in your head. You are ruminating on the events. What is going through Nick's head?
He's at a bit of an interesting place because he's gaining some confidence in his abilities as he's going here. And he's also recognizing that he's got to be one of the ones that has the confidence going in to this situation going forward, because there's nobody left of seniority besides Lump at this point in terms of who's been around the longest. So, but beyond that, he's kind of playing over these, like he's still got the nerves behind him, and like it's hard for him to really feel it, but like the larger picture is setting in that, you know, he's hoping to have a home to come back to once this is all over, and the implications of like a society to build and being part of that society, and then the dragon that's out there that he hasn't seen in a while, and who knows what's going to happen. Yeah, he's mostly just like trying to push out these anxieties to focus on, you know, the things that he's seen positive in himself of late, which is, you know, a bit of leadership, teamwork, and being able to stab things very effectively.
Very, very effectively, haven't we seen? As Nick is, you know, rolling through those thoughts, he perhaps wanders into a section of this library that he hasn't bothered to go to. And it's down the hall that was adjacent to the room with the wood golem that was a real menace. And you find yourself, as the thought of this dragon pops into your head, you find yourself at the doorway that leads into like a cavern-like room where a building or a room was being built at one point and was abandoned and left unfinished. It's still mostly a hollowed-out cave with some support beams. No real structural shape to it. And perhaps you wander in with a little curiosity, and you can't help but feel a rumbling beneath your feet, as if you have manifested exactly what you were curious about.
And this time he feels the rumbling and just kind of takes a breath and steels himself like, okay, I'll be ready this time.
And a giant purple worm
swallows you.
Oh my god, the shy halud.
The shy halud.
Oh no. Before you get into this, can I just ask a question? How old is Nirkaj?
Nirkaj is what did I put him at? I didn't put an age there.
I guess like is he young?
Yeah, he's not young, but like I think I said he was like middle, like probably around what a 30-ish to a human was. I'd have to double check his character sheet because I didn't put it on this one, but like yeah, like an older adolescent, young man kind of.
It seems, because it just kind of seems like he's having almost like a rite of passage or like a coming of age kind of adventure in a way for himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's a grown adult and everything, but he hasn't really had much purpose or aim. He was just kind of like this adventure was the first time he really felt any outlet to his talents, even if it did come at a kind of inopportune roundabout way.
The kobolds mature or reach adulthood at about 12 years old, so they mature early and live to about 60. So
yeah, I think I said he was about like 15.
Cool.
Yeah, so you feel this rumbling beneath your feet, and you steel yourself, and you see a near familiar sight as in the wall, this eye opens up. And not quite as brazen as before, but like this dragon head kind of half comes out of the wall. And mind you, everyone feels the rumble, not just Nick, but it is closest to Nick. And yeah, this dragon head comes out, and just this eye just blinking, the membrane nictating, and the pupil like just focusing in on you. And the booming voice comes through.
Young Scion, what delays you and your kin?
My liege, I know that you have been waiting for us, but I've let them know on the surface. They will be coming soon. I'm not sure how much you're aware of what's going on right now, but I've been quite busy otherwise. If there's going to be a town, if there's going to be my people to come back to, some action is being taken on my part and my party's part.
The ghost witch. She harries you.
I think she harries more than just this place and my companions.
She is of little concern to me. However, she came to me long ago, offered a deal, but I refused. But in the deal, she spoke of treasure, of powerful lenses. I would have these for my horde.
Could you help us get them?
I will not intervene. This is your quest, for I am your avatar. However, you may partake in a piece of my horde, so that you may see your goal complete. Give me your spear.
Oh, of course.
Nick just does it willingly.
Just hands it over.
This creature, like, head comes way out and just opens its mouth in front of you, waiting for you to place it inside.
Well, I'm really good with this thing, so be careful. And then he lays it down.
Closing its mouth, it just retreats into the wall and makes you wait for a bit. And you feel like a rumbling and a rumbling and a rumbling. And then it comes back out and opens its mouth again. And your spear is ready for the taking again.
Oh, well, thank you, my lord. He says, quite unsure, while taking up what I'm assuming is going to be, like... Actually, he probably doesn't have much saliva, because he's all made of rocks and stuff, like dusty, and... I don't know, maybe a little mud on there.
Oh, a -2 striking rune.
So
like
you...
pockmarked from gravel.
You pick your spear out of the dragon's mouth, and you get the distinct but faint smell of ozone that comes off of the metal caps and end that balance the spear. And the dragon says,
This weapon has a pair. It was lost from my horde. Your next objective is to find it and put it to use, for these weapons will work together. This is your grounding spike. Find the polarizing mace, and you will find great power in them both.
And I have placed Nick's grounding spike into your inventory. It has all of the same properties as your previous Dancerous Spear, but it has extra abilities should you find this polarizing mace, and we use them and work with them together.
Well, thank you, my lord. I will not fail you. And I will look for this polarizing mace.
It just talks about politics at parties.
Never mind. I'm glad I didn't say anything.
Polarizing mace and the partisan spear.
Grounding spikes, just a bunch of beer.
See that you do, and then find my lair. And then you will seek the treasure that I crave.
And it retreats back into the wall. Now what's going through Nick's head?
Do one for Harold now.
He's got a bit to think about, because now he's considering backstabbing the dragon in favor of his friends.
Yeah.
So...
Or you could build a kobold cult based on lies. At the end of
He
the
was
adventure.
already pretty much getting there when he started this adventure, so why not?
So you mean just build a kobold cult?
I was like, you didn't need to add the lies.
Yeah, I mean, they never really have to meet this dragon. If I could act as its
I
avatar.
meant lies to the dragon, not to the members of the cult, as in like, we're totally gonna find those lenses and then just try to keep everyone alive while like creating a web of lies and like.
If I lie to everybody, surely I can maintain the delicate balance that will be necessary
Surely.
to see it to a successful ending.
Don't call me shit.
So,
The AP just devolves into playing like Cult of the Lamb, but TT
Cult of the Lamb.
version.
Game
Cult
is
of the
so
Kobold. Sick game, by the way. Shout out.
So good, very good.
So with all
Cult
this
of the
running
Lamb.
through his head, he starts wandering back towards the party. Like, whoa, sorry, I had too many burritos, I guess.
Rumbling the
burrito?
whole vault. What's a fantasy burrito?
It's moss wrapped around beans.
Oh, okay. Do you have any more?
No.
Oh.
Did you hear what happened back there?
That's why I wanted one.
Sorry, Lump. I'll get you next time.
All right, thank you.
Harold,
Yes.
how you doing there, big guy? How is Harold after his little temper tantrum?
I mean, after he turned the room into splinters, I think
With a butchering knife.
with his fists, maybe the
Those two.
striking hammer, but yeah, I think he just kind of collapses onto the floor and just sits there, and his rest is rough. It's thinking about rough. It's thinking about the knowledge that Ruff has died, and he doesn't know where Arthur is. He understands that Arthur has gone on another quest, but he's known Arthur his whole life, as most of his life as well. So he's just kind of thinking that he'll have to break this news to Arthur whenever Arthur is back from his quest. And he just knows that he's in Absalom somewhere.
And as you are doing your own ruminating, did you close the door behind you when you went in?
Yeah, I think he would have slammed it
Okay.
extremely hard behind him.
Hard to have a hissy fit with the doors open.
Exactly.
Super ginger clothes and then a bunch of banging.
In a glass case of emotions.
You hear a little scratching at the door, followed by
Ooh.
It's a dog.
He kind of shakes his head a little bit because he was so deep in thought that he's kind of confused by what he just heard and raises himself to his feet and walks to the door and opens it and looks out.
And you see black and white cat. Just gingerly steps in, instinctually gives you a little like rub around the ankles, and then looks up at you with a bit of a, you swear it's got a bit of a pleading face.
Harold is a hunter, but also a lover of animals. And, you know, a part of respecting nature.
He loves killing them.
Yeah. Loves killing them, respects the hunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And always wants to kill the biggest, the strongest creature. Not a defenseless creature, not a small creature, but, you know, the hardest to kill.
But that didn't stop him from creating the 101st way to skin a cat.
And he needs a pair of snowshoes.
So Harold kind of lowers himself to his haunches and will put his hand out for the cat to smell.
The cat gives it a bit of a smell and then a quick whisker rub on each side against your fingers, but then starts to sort of wander away and out the door in that weird casual manner cats like to do.
So Harold raises himself and is very perplexed, extremely perplexed at what is going on here, and wary because this just seems very surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And will kind of silently open the door and follow the cat out.
And as you do, the cat sort of like wanders up towards the sort of crossroads, a little crossroads area of the library, and continues to head north. Perhaps around this time, if you're still following, Nick does in fact come out of the hallway that he was in, and Lump, if I may, also wanders out. You create yourself a little, like, you know, movie moment where everyone comes in at the right time. All kind of finding this cat in the halls. And Augrail comes up behind you, curious at the noise himself, and sees everyone kind of like back together for the first time since you arrived. And he goes up to the cat and puts his hand out as well. And the cat does nearly the same thing, despite his ghoulish nature and probably slightly more rancid up-close smell. The cat doesn't seem to be too perturbed by him. And he's down on his haunches and says,
Sammy, haven't seen you in a while. It is time, my friends. This was the cat, the familiar of Izori. Lump, you remember Izori?
I do. I regret not looking for her more, but we had, and gestures to everything around them, just stuff.
yeah. Yeah. No words need be spoken.
I think we have a harrowing fortune in front of us. What I described below, what I discovered. I think Sammy is preparing us, showing us what we might find.
And Sammy wanders off towards the room where you fought the lurker in light, Shimmergrin, the one that I screamed on mic really loud and scared PJP twice.
Follow him. He will take you where you need to go.
Harold pulls the cleaver from his hip, grips on his amulet, and nods to Augrail passing them, and heads up north towards Sammy.
And Sammy wanders through and to the south and to a staircase that leads to the floor below.
As Harold passes through this room where we fought the Shimmergrin, he is happy for a moment, as this is the only place that they've been in a while that has light. And Harold, having no light spell and no low light vision or dark vision, has been fighting in the dark ever since he's been in the Abomination Vaults. Fighting literally with just whatever is coming off of his companions and whatever is coming off of like mushrooms or torches or whatever is few and far between. And I think that like if you can just think about how horrifying that could be in a way, that like, you know, you might be in light, but a step or two away from you is just complete darkness if you're catching an edge or a pillar or something.
Yeah.
He's used to it.
Terrifying.
But yeah, it's leaves a lot to the unknown. And so I think that as he moves through his room, he's just, when you see the sun for the first time in a long time and you get that like hit of vitamin D in real life, it's just, it kind of feels like that.
Yeah. As they're walking, though, Lump is going to take the opportunity to turn to Harold and just, I know that you're a hunter and you're used to operating alone. I would request that you stick to the plan. This isn't meant to sound like an ultimatum, but after losing Ruff, I believe that there was some things that could have gone more favorably in the last fight. And I believe sticking together is our best chance at survival down here.
And Harold bows his head in shame and looks back up towards Lump and is kind of eyeing them. I don't want to say sheepishly, because Harold is generally quite confident and outgoing, but definitely is feeling regret and shame for what his actions could have caused. And he says, I understand the mistakes that I made. And you're right. I've been a lone wolf for a long time. I used to fight with people in a tribe with companions. And when he says that, he kind of thumbs the amulet with the picture of the woman carved into it. But it's been a long time since then. And I'm sorry to you and others for what I've done that could have led to this.
Your apology is not necessary, Harold. I understand that. Apology accepted. And Lump will just kind of reach down and pet Sammy, just awkward and not really sure how to. Glad that went as well as it did, basically. Because there has been some friction between Lump and Harold, and so they weren't quite sure how Harold was going to react to this criticism. And so just, petting the cat.
That's mostly because Scott's a very hostile player.
For the listener, Scott is fuming right now.
Oh, yeah. Like, Scott's mad. He's just such a good role player that he, like, played it cool. But
well, Aelin and Lump had quite a bit of friction, too, so...
Yeah,
God damn it.
Aelin and Lump, did
not
they
Aelin. Shut up, Tulok.
You've got Arthur on the brain, so...
I've got Arthur on the brain, and I've been listening back to some of our other episodes.
I was going to say Aelin and Talford might have had some beef, too.
Talford's got beef with everybody, as far as I can tell.
Talford is a walking meat market of beef.
Talford does suck.
Everyone's got beef, and Talford's got milk for his bones.
The only cool thing Talford ever did was smoke darts.
Those views are not representative of this program.
smoke darts and
Smoking darts is
absolutely
not cool,
obliterate
friends.
things.
Don't be a
so good.
Telford in any way.
Yeah, please. If you feel yourself thinking, man, Talford, that's a role model I could look up to. No, please reconsider.
As you make your slow walk towards these stairs, you just hear faintly in the background Augril going,
Oh, yeah, good one. Sammy, Bob, Hammy, fee, five of Hammy. Sammy. Oh, that's good. I gotta write that down.
and then you
Is that a new
descend.
poem?
Yeah.
Horrible.
I'm in my nonsensical phase.
It's good to go through some absurdism.
Yeah. You
Nick quietly thinks it's really good, but doesn't say anything.
find yourself down into a dining room that is scattered with webs and skeletons and old plates and finery well beyond their use and value. A place you were once before as a group of players, but I think no one in this party has ever seen, but perhaps has heard.
Just a savage blood stain at the south.
And yeah, anyone who remembers well remembers that this is where the famed Physic died. However, it was reported that it was beyond the door to the south that the battle took place. Said door appears to be closed, while all other doors remain open.
Little goblin-shaped blood splatter on it.
And Sammy walks towards that door.
Harold moves south following I was going to call Sammy Hammy for some reason. Following
That was my
Sammy,
dog's name.
Nice. Picking his steps carefully over the corpses on the ground and just continues to follow.
There is this crazy, eerie sense of death here. Some of these corpses were reanimated at some point. Some of them still sit on the chairs, slumped over, succumbing to the poison that was administered to them many, many years ago.
Yeah, Nirkaj will take up the west side because Harold took the east going down. Also just feeling the worst kind of vibes about the place. It's like there's like this ghostly spectral voice like
Hashtag Physic lives.
And Harold and Nick have just quietly and gingerly stepped over said corpses and bones and like scattered chairs and have flanked the southern door where Sammy stands next to.
Lump will go ahead and gently share a space with Sammy, raising their shield to open the door before looking back at the party.
step on the cat.
Right on the tail.
Oh, sorry, Sammy. I didn't see you down there. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And Lump will pull out a little treat from their arm. But no, genuinely.
Slimy treat.
Cats eat. Yeah,
They like wet food.
Slimy arm treat.
Name your sex tape.
Oh, God.
It could just be a piece of the
Yeah,
arm.
here you go. Here's a little bit of
James, does Sammy turn his nose up at said treat? Ball's in your court.
No, it's a cat.
Okay, so you pull out a slimy old piece of sausage roll and hand it to the cat. And you go up to the door. And you open the door.
Yes.
You open the door, and there is, in this small 5-foot space, to the south another door, and a tremendous amount of old, dried, brown blood.
I, James the player, have had nightmares about this 5-foot room. This 10-foot room.
It was
5 foot? Yeah, it's 5-foot room.
5 foot. Yeah, it's a harrowing experience, that one.
Where is Sammy looking, pointing, pawing? Because Lump is just falling.
I mean, just straight south. Like, you just have the southern door. It's led to another door.
Yeah,
Like,
Lump will step through and gingerly trying to avoid any disturbing of corpses or fluids, and open the next door. Lifting Sammy onto their shoulders so they don't have to step in the gunk.
Oh, okay. Is Sammy a shoulder cat, James, you think? Some cats
no,
love it. Some cats hate it.
I decidedly think Sammy's probably not a being picked up cat, considering I honestly don't know if Sammy's ever been picked up.
So you try your best, but this is the deck cat familiar of a sea voyaging ship. Sammy refuses.
Lump will just kind of shrug and open the door.
You open the door and you immediately know that your light spell has just pushed through a darkness spell. You see the wall of black, and then your light just kind of pushes it away, and you see into the room as you do now.
Have you ever seen like...
And...
Sorry, in my head I was picturing, you know, like in warehouses where like the banks of light will like clunk, 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 clunk kick on. Like that's kind of what I'm picturing right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You look straight ahead. There is a really fine desk and chair, and old parchment and quill and stuff straight ahead of you. And this room looks really cozy, but it is a big space with a big carpet on the floor. The thing that stands out right away is like you see that desk, but then you see along the walls. It's a reminder for everyone that it is basically the walls are covered in like grisly paintings of spectral beings that cavort among ruined neighborhoods or overgrown swamps or foggy graveyards. This is one of the earliest sort of iconographic sites you had seen that like really emphasized Nimbaloth and the belief in that god. But otherwise appears to be empty from your current view.
Does motion sense detect anything?
Yes, it does. Let me just see how far. 30 feet, right?
Yep.
You detect something to your immediate right, left on the map. West.
I would like to, just hop in here real quick and say that Harold has a spirit sight ring.
Okay.
So if there might happen to be an incorporeal creature trying to hide its presence from this sense, it has to attempt a stealth check against my perception DC to hide from this vague sense.
It doesn't apply here. There is no incorporealness happening.
Thank you.
But that's cool. That's a cool thing. I like that.
So we've got something with a body that moves.
So strange. So you detect something very much Lump.
Lump will make
west,
a
immediate
fist, tap it to their helmet, and then point in the direction, and then step in.
Nick draws his new spear, and scouting draws.
It's the thing.
Yeah.
It's the thing.
Nick steps in, and Harold, do you pull in the flank?
Yes.
You pull in the flank. You are all lined up in this little double doorway, small hallway, and Lump is in the room. Roll for initiative. It's the thing.
Didn't see that
James is
coming.
right. It's the thing. It's finally back.
Oh my god, the thing? The Void Glutton?
As you
Yeah,
see
from
the
the,
swirling massive eyes and needle-pointed, severed-fingered hands in a black void was sitting invisibly in the darkness, but as soon as you step in, that darkness recedes, and this creature begins to glow, helping to fill the room with light. Is lying in wait, ready to ambush. Let's see what everyone got. Harold, what'd you get? You're in the back.
27.
I love that this existential nightmare fuel that's clearly like ripping a hole in our reality is just sitting in an armchair.
Let me just share the picture with you again real quick. Bam.
I love that it's just like hanging out in an armchair as you guys walk.
Yeah, I mean, it's got
Yeah,
like 5
it
arms,
kind of is.
so it's going to need an armchair.
Harold closes the door.
Harold doesn't see the nightmare yet, but okay, Harold, you got a 27, you said? Nick, you're next. What'd you get?
23, not feeling it.
Okay, and Lump?
Lump's feeling it. 37, natural 20.
Nice. Damn. Okay. You step on in and are ready to go. You're top of the order. Let's go.
All
First
right.
round.
Lump is going to go ahead and raise their shield, as is tradition. And then is going to cast a little spell called... Wait, I know about these. Does Lump know about these?
Yep. Probably. They are immune to a lot of magic.
Yeah. Okay. Lump is going to go ahead and first free action, arm is going to slurp out into a whip, and they're going, actually they'll step and then they will trip with their shield.
Okay.
That is a
Okay, so shield up, step in, and trip.
shield up, step, trip. That is a 23 to trip.
That is a failure.
I have a hero point. Do I want to use it? Nah, that's it. That's
What
my
did you roll?
I rolled
You
a natural two. Like, I can definitely do better,
Yeah.
but I also feel like, this isn't.
You also know this creature is flying, so it doesn't have to really stand up.
It does. Remember, we went over this. If
Does
you're
it?
not prone,
I mean,
you have to
I know
take
they
a
can be
stand
prone.
action.
Oh, if you have the prone, the only actions you can take are
Yep.
stand or
Yep.
crawl. Right. Okay. Cool.
Or casting spells and stuff. But yes, movement wise, you have to stand and crawl. But yeah, so that will be.
It does seem odd to me that you can't just
You
float
can trip
up
a pigeon.
with no legs, but
I'll be
yeah.
triple
Yeah.
pigeons all day.
Do it all the time.
But pigeons have legs. This thing doesn't have any legs.
But yeah, Lump isn't going to spend a hero point here. Lump is already feeling that doomed condition, so we're just going to hang on. That is
Oh
my
yeah,
turn.
you have it still on. Make sure. Let's reapply that, shall we? Dude. That's your turn. Okay. Next up, as you step in, there is a painting on the eastern wall that was once taken down, but it has been put back up. And from behind said painting bursts out a creature too big for the space behind it, as a gug in its weird flexibility lurches out through. The painting just flies off the wall and it lurches out into the room in its large size, and it just gets out of that space, and it's with its crazy flexible limbs just like elongates itself and goes for a jaws attack on Lump at 15-foot range. So you will be flanking to this. Or you'll be flanked for this, off guard.
God damn it.
I don't think so, but Foundry should auto-calculate. Just based on what it is, I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Oh, it
Because
fumbles.
it has to cross through
What are you saying?
through the token to the other creature.
I mean, it can
right?
move up to here to get it done if it needs to. So
That's okay. I would argue that is squeezing because like 15 feet of that is now.
yeah, but their whole thing, I'll give you this. They have eerie flexibility, so they basically have like these crazy multiple joints all through their body.
Okay.
So they can squeeze as if they're medium, and they squeeze at full speed. So like basically, they're practically unaffected by squeezing as long as it's
All right.
yeah.
Fucking send
they're wild, and I didn't really use this before, but this is the perfect time. So it just like gets itself into the room and just jaws attack out. However, it fumbles over the furniture and rolls a natural 1.
Lump will live forever.
And then again with a 15-foot reach, reaches out with one of its claws and its weird jointed arms, and it rolls terribly again for a natural 4 for 23.
No.
Not good at all.
Not Gug at all.
But yeah, this thing is boom. Not Gug at all. As James just said in the chat, Gug, damn it. And that brings us to Raphael.
What?
Ruff, your eyes flutter open. And all you can see is like the blurry view of a ceiling high above made of stone. But it's blistering with some sort of sickness. And the last few things you remember are the foolish meeting of the War Chief's challenge. Somewhere in the Shaika, you feel, are as many hotheads as there are cool and calm demeanors, all serving their purpose for the time they were controlled by the Shaika, the time they needed to be the Shaika. There is a balance built into this whole crazy structure that druids can only dream of. And when one prevails, another must pull in the slack. Balance is key. So whether you mean to or not, you are as calm as a cool spring morning when part of you probably feels like you should be a raging ocean. And that's when you are roughly grabbed by the scruff of the neck, and this rough hand turns you to face the wicked scowl of a ghostly sorceress, Belcora Haravex. And just as you see her, you are thrust into the swirling void energy of the gauntlet, where overwhelming pain covers your entire person. And this pulse of void energy shoots up through the gauntlet. And then you are pulled back out again. What does Ruff think or say in this moment?
I think before he's able to speak, he lets out just a cry of pain. There's this concept in my mind, Ruff being an cleric champion of Pharasma, that void energy is like his kryptonite. Mm-hmm. I imagine that this penetrates not only him to the core, but the Shaika as well, and he feels this stirring inside of him, like a blender kicked on in his insides as he's finally pulled back out of the void after what feels like an eternity.
And that's it?
I don't think he's capable of speaking after that.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, when we first saw the light in the cupola?
Well, yeah.
I believe Ruff was there, and if I remember correctly, was throwing up in his mouth.
Yeah. Yep. He was.
Every one of my characters has touched the void.
Hero point, Scott. I forgot about that. That's
Hey.
great. So good.
That's the reason I played it that way, is because of that Pharasma
The
connection to void energy.
antithesis. Yeah, I remember that. So good. Great memory. Harold, you're up. You just see Lump kind of turn into the room and start swinging, shield raised, and then these elongated limbs you can see over Nick's head and shoulders just start reaching across the room to attack Lump from behind.
And in the background, you just hear, "Ah!"
Lurching up through the void.
I hear
No.
Ruff.
No, but you actually do. No, sorry, you don't. You maybe you do hear that. You hear this. Yeah, let's go with that. I think that's fun. You hear an echo of Ruff, like screaming, somehow like wafting out of the western side of this room.
And Harold hears that and is spurred on into the room, into action.
Harold, help me with the void.
Strides in, hears Lump asking for help, and moves to the west,
Mm-hmm.
and
And takes an attack of opportunity from the Gug as you
Figured.
do.
Yep,
It's a 35 to hit
that'll hit.
with the Jaws attack. You take 27 piercing damage.
Love that. Okay, we'll stride in, one action. Second action will be exploit vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. 2 on the die for a 22.
Ooh, failure.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna hero point
You're
that, 'cause I only have one.
You're spurred on, but you're still struggling. It's probably very distracting.
And we'll simply just strike out with the cleaver.
You still get the personal antithesis, right? So that's something.
Right. Strikes out 3 on the die for a 21.
We're all rolling low here. This is going to be a swingy fight, I guess. Okay, that's a stride in,
Yeah.
an EV, and a swing and a miss.
Fail and a fail.
Nirkaj, what do you got?
Okay, Nirkaj will take a stride 10 feet south into the room. First action. So from here, he can reach the 10 feet to hit that void glutton on the to the west. Yeah.
Yep, we should be good there.
Okay, great. So first action, he is going to attempt.
Debatably, it has soft cover, but
Yeah, well, I will take that debate and win. 28 to hit.
that is a miss, regardless of soft cover.
Yeah. Okay.
All I do is win.
Remember when you fought this at level 4 and a 28 still a miss? Shit was crazy.
Oh, actually, does that void glutton have reach?
Not that you're aware of.
Okay. Second action will be a strike at a map -5 against the Gug. 31 to hit, so it's a +1 circumstance bonus because of the backswing trait.
That is also a miss.
God damn, this is gonna be fun.
Oh, sorry. 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 My chat's not updating properly. What was the total?
31.
Oh no, that hits. That hits. Sorry, I was still looking at the
Hey.
28 that you rolled.
Yeah, I mean it was a good 28. I like looking at it too, but 19 damage.
19 damage. Okay, very good.
I
bit of
don't
thunder
know
damage
if
in there.
Sonic is going to affect anything against
Yep.
Lugug.
The sonic damage goes through.
Okay, and that's 3 actions. Okay, shit. This is gonna be fun, guys. I was
Okay.
looking forward to this void glutton.
It is the Void Glutton's turn, who will now, let's see here, is going to swing a claw at Lump for a 34 to hit.
That'll hit.
I need a will save, please, after you take 22 piercing and force damage.
Okay. That is a 22 on the will save as I roll another natural 2.
Okay, you failed. You are now frightened 1.
Okay. How much damage was it again?
22 total. And it will go for another attack against... Who am I going against here? Lump again for not so good. Gonna be a 23 to hit.
That is a miss.
And it will foolishly go for the third attack again against Lump for a 22 to hit. Miss. Izori. Izori hears the distant sounds of battle somewhere in her mind. It's only dull, but it's more than the dull near silence that she's been experiencing for some time. That she's been experiencing ever since her own blood-curdling screams had turned into nothing but dry gasps that eventually were pushed down into an accepting silence. The pain has never subsided or let up. And this horrible serenity has washed over you for what feels like a lifetime ago. In reality, it's been 12 days of straight, horrible torture. And then suddenly, as this sound grows nearer, you feel this pulse and this other scream come up through the void energy and toward you from below. And just as it hits, the dim light that has persistently shone through your own eyelids disappears. And you are suddenly in perfect pitch darkness. Except for one tiny glowing mote of whitish blue light. It comes into view, and it speaks to you.
Quite the tempting of fate you've tried this time, Izori. I've known you to be quite cutthroat during our time together. But a precariously petty revenge mission like this is unlike the pragmatic leader of the Pashman Lancier. What do you have to say for yourself?
Revenge mission. sounds so childish. No, not revenge. Final wish to see my Simone again. I honor his memory. Or I tried.
That's so creepy. I love it. And suddenly, the void energy coming from where behind the painting was grows and starts to seep into the room. And you can see it extend into the room out 5 feet to where next to the Gug, all just on the edge of where the Gug is standing. You can see it starting to spread out from this small entryway in the wall. And that brings us to the top of round 2.
Freeman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Because of the I definitely wanted to use my reaction for Right of Retribution against this void button, if you'll allow it. It's a little bit past, but
Your what, sir?
my
It's your
Right
what?
of Retribution
Oh,
for my contract.
I don't remember what it does because you've never used
Yeah,
it.
I know. When a creature
What
deals
does it
damage to
do?
you, I call out for Retribution as a reaction and say,
Okay.
you will meet your end here. Wherever you go, it will not be on this plane. And I gain a +1 status bonus to attack rolls against that creature.
Okay, we're doing some weird freeform roleplay in the middle of this combat. Why not? It's right now. It's just like you just kick off at the beginning of your turn as opposed
It's
to
all
when
kind
it
of
happened.
happening at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Okay. I'm going to first action, raise shield. Second action, trip. God damn, I cannot roll above 3. You know what?
Oh no.
Time
it's
for
so
a
bad.
hero point. 32.
Let's go for it. That'll do it.
All right. And then a map -5 +1 for the Right of Retribution. That is a 28 to hit prone target.
That 28 to hit prone target will hit.
All right. That is going to be 19 points of damage as I almost max roll.
Okay.
And that is all 3 of my actions.
Okay. Very good. That brings us to the Gug, who will. Let's see here. Who is going to continue its attack on Lump in its advantageous position, because they are, in fact, quite intelligent, reasonably intelligent creatures, I should say. Launching a crazy, weird claw out for a 42 to hit. Oh.
That'll crit.
Okay. Lump's going to take 52 slashing damage. A second claw coming at Lump for 32 to hit.
That'll hit.
And that's another 25 points. And Cam may or may not know what's coming next.
Good old-fashioned rend.
Good old-fashioned rend. Where I automatically just deal another claw damage. For 22 points of damage.
Lump goes down.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Whoa. Turning point.
Turning point. Poof. We go to Raphael. After having screamed from the pain, maybe huffing and puffing a little bit, still being held by the scruff of the neck, Belcora just looms over you. Tell me, little verminous pup, what is it you seek? Why do you push forward? Why do you go against my inevitability?
Balance. I seek balance in all things, Belcora. And nothing, not even you, is inevitable. My life has been forfeit for a good many days now. Being here in your grasp changes nothing. You shall not succeed.
And she gives this awful grin. In my experience, revenge is the same as balance. For me and mine have been wronged, and I seek to set it right with a punishment befitting the loss of everything. And she nods to what you can only assume to be War Chief Kerfell, who thrusts Ruff back into the void energy and shoots another big pulse of void energy up into the footprint of the gauntlet. Ah! Stemming the Tide is an actual play podcast of the Adventure Path Abomination Vaults and is produced by the Uncharted North Network. Stemming the Tide uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Stemming the Tide is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. Music is composed by Will Savino and artwork by Greyhood. Stemming the Tide is recorded remotely using Foundry Virtual Tabletop. If you wish to connect with us or support this project and projects to come, we can be found at unchartednorth.ca, patreon.com/unchartednorth, and on all major social media platforms. Links to all credits can be found in the episode description and our website. Thanks for tuning in.